Welcome to the Wrap. George Ringer, special guest, Randy Anderson, the sideline reporter extraordinaire.
Yes.
In case now you guys can put a face with the voice that you were hearing on Friday's game. And
nice to be here.
There were a lot of people who were saying, "Who's Randy Anderson? Who's Randy Anderson?" And I'm like, well, used to teach down on the range in Wasabi, Starson Anderson.
Yeah.
I said, now he refs and umps up here. I said, he's a great guy. And they're like, why'd you come to International Falls? So I guess what? Why'd you end up in International Falls?
Why did I come here? Well, my wife ended up getting a job up here with Northland Counseling, and I came along to fish and do sports.
See? Simple enough.
It's
right?
a better answer than the one I have. So it's.
Well, we're waiting. Wyatt's playing his last game. Wyatt Ulrich, our baseball extraordinaire. We're waiting for the phone to come up, but. Where are we going to start, George?
Well, we can pick anything we want, but I'd suggest maybe we start with a little football.
He says a little football. Geez, I can't imagine why we would start with a little football, but that sounds like a good thing. So which football team are we going to talk about?
Well, I think we would be doing justice if we talked. Well, we can either go one of two ways. I noticed the first thing down here, Gophers, but we do have high school to talk about. We do have Vikings to talk about. We have college games coming up this weekend. All kinds of college games.
You pick where we start, and we'll just meander from there.
Okay, as long as we're there right on top. The Gophers against Ohio State. I think they met minimal expectations. How's that?
Meaning what?
Well, I think that offensive line play was really pretty good. They took one of the top teams in the nation. They didn't get blown out of the stadium, and in fact, they give them everything they needed for 3/4 of the game. And they also showed that here we have a defensive secondary that is in the process of development.
Wow, that is a nice way of saying it, huh, Randy?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you had to take a look. Ohio State had these receivers, and the whole thing pivoted on these receivers. They were so wide open. And you'd think, and I watched it and I thought, was this, did somebody screw up their assignment? No, they got blown off the field. These guys are good, and they're all American style, and there's two of them, and they got Mr. Stroud, he threw 4 passes for 4 successive touchdowns. I've never seen that before, and he just nailed them, and of course, 3 of them went to wide receivers, and the other one went to a running back. So he can hit you from all sides. They got a very, very good football team. But the Gophers did their offensive line. I thought played comparable to Ohio State's defensive line, which are not a bunch of schmucks. And I think that the Minnesota defensive line, against one of the finest offensive lines in the country, held their end. Secondary, they're in the need of work. So
I did this the other day when I was on Coach's Corner. I asked the Bronco football players that were on the air to give themselves a grade. I want you to give me a grade as a team. The whole team, the whole thing as a whole for the Gophers on Thursday night. Give me a grade.
I think it's a solid B, and I'll add this, that I think before they're done, they're still capable of winning 8 football games and maybe even 9. This is a very good football team. And, unless they completely fall apart, like lose their top running back, which of course they did, that's something that you can't.
I was going to ask, do you still feel that way after we got the news today that Mohamed Ibrahim is out? Big
Mo is definitely a factor anytime he comes on the football field. And they got Trey Potts that's coming on, and he's always going to do a thorough job, but he's no Mo Ibrahim. He simply is not. So we'll see what they have to go. But they do have a couple of other things. They're getting 2 wide receivers back this week, and they have a very good quarterback that when he has to, he can fling. So I don't want to chop off the whole offensive situation entirely, because they still have some weapons that they can do.
I was being told that there were some people out there that, because of the loss, thought that Tanner Morgan should lose his job.
Well, I don't. Yeah. Well, they
which I found very humorous. Very,
and maybe like it was explained to me, Minnesota is a very good team. Ohio State is a playoff team. And that is the difference. If as soon as Minnesota ranks or can play with in the top 10, and right now they cannot, when they can play within the top 10 and then to the top 5, then we have that caliber of team.
So let me ask this question, because I think it I'll go this way with it. Clemson and Georgia played on Saturday night.
They did.
Number 5 Georgia versus number 3 Clemson. Maybe for lack of a better term, we found out that Clemson, their offensive line is not probably top 5 in the nation caliber for a team. They probably can't stay there because they don't have the offensive line at this point of the year. But what the point I want to make is there's 3 or 4 teams out there that are up there. And we think we know who those teams probably are. Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, and who did I miss?
Ohio State.
And Ohio State, thank you. This is what point I was going to be making. Those are in the top 4. Now, I don't know if there's a 5th team in there that can play with those 4 teams, but I think we found out that those 4 teams probably are the crust, okay? So let's say that Minnesota went and played a number 7 or a number 8. Let's say they go play North Carolina, a number 10 team, or number 14 Miami. Do we find out that because they only lost by 14 points to Ohio State that they can sit and play at that level?
Yes, they can.
I think that's what you're saying.
I do think they can play at that level. Again, it's such a fine line at that level of college football. How much can you screw up? So, one simple mistake, a flip pass or anything like that, could cost you a game in 4 or 5 placements in whatever the ratings happen to be. But, it's one of those things where you have to take a look. They went 3 quarters with one of the best teams I've seen in the Big Ten for a long time. Might even be as good as last year's. And, it's just like I just don't want to wash it all off. We'll see what they do against Miami of Ohio, which is no give me, I'll tell you. They're MAC conference champions, and they're returning a whole bunch of people, and so that is still something that they're going to have to prove themselves. But their running game is definitely going to be hurt.
I think PJ said it best in one of the clips that I had Friday morning. He said, we went in with the game plan knowing we were going to have to run the ball.
Yes.
If we were going to have a chance to win, we had to run the ball. We did that. The other thing we knew that we had to be able to do is not turn the ball over. And he said, we turned it over once.
Yes.
And look what happened. They put it in, and that was the end of it.
Well, they had the 4 touchdowns that they ran were 270-yard, 170, 170 plus, 150, 160 yards. When you're getting drilled from that distance, and there it was, they're behind the behind the heap, and they got a whole bunch to go. So what do? Well, they don't worry about 3rd and 20. They just score a touchdown. And so they were just kind of picking it up at that level. So it was a heck of a game. But I'll tell you, Ottman Bell is coming back, and he's a very fine receiver. And so they start stretching that sidelines. P.J. Fleck knew he had to run the ball. So did Ohio State.
And they still did it.
Yes.
How about you, Randy? What did you think?
Well, they scored 31 points. Against most teams, that should be enough to win.
Yeah.
Tanner Morgan does not play defense, so I don't know how anybody can blame that game on him.
Oh, that's for sure.
They've got to get their defense and their secondary straightened out. And I think their offense will be fine, but it's the defense.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, and I guess you don't lose guys like Winfield and some of these. They've really had great backs in the last few years, and great receivers, and that's kind of what you have to replace, and we'll see if they can do that. But one of the games that's going to be on this week that's going to be really interesting: Iowa and Iowa State, because Iowa State. They're lip rippers, and Iowa, they don't like each other. I don't know what it is, but that one's going to tell you a lot about where Iowa stands in the Big Ten. If that's the case, that is one of the teams that we have to beat.
And is Iowa State a top 10 team?
I don't know, but they're definitely in the top 15 teams. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Now, on the games last week, North Carolina losing, Mac Jones, he was beside himself, and I'm not, because they were expecting North Carolina to match up with Clemson and Georgia and the rest of those. They simply aren't going to do that. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
What else did you see? Oh, well, you want to talk a little bit about Clemson and Georgia as long as we're there? I opened the door a little bit.
Well, they did. I mean, they went down there. What I liked most about it was Southern football fans are a little bit obsessive.
They're out there.
They are out there, and they are just, they were wound to the max, and it was good to see an arena full and these two great teams, great traditions, just beating each other up. And Georgia, they had a great defensive line, but they had a great defensive line last year too. And but I think a couple of them they lost, and of course Clemson lost. They lost a good one to University of Minnesota, which I kind of like. But two great teams. It was fun to watch. I had other things going on in my mind, but you can watch football while you're listening to the blues. It can be done.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Interestingly enough, it can be done. How about you, Randy? Did you see something this weekend that?
Well, I see Alabama and Georgia as two really good football teams, and I don't know if they play during the regular season, but if they don't, is there a possibility they could both be undefeated, play for the SEC title, and the loser still makes the Final Four?
Wow! See, look how long-range Randy's thinking.
Yeah,
see?
yeah.
There's a reason why he's sitting in the middle chair. He's expanding the zone. We can find out. I'll tell you right now why it's 2 for 3. Got that batting average up to 328. Yeah. Let me check that. So we'll keep talking. What about Army? How'd Army do?
Army took over Georgia Southern, and they have this kid, Jacoby Buchanan. And Jacoby Buchanan is about as big as both of us. He's 260 pounds. He's just a rock. And when he hits people, they kind of explode or get out of the way or something. But Buchanan ran all over the place, and Army's got a really good grind-em-out football team. They're going to be fun to watch.
They got their running game back.
They got another quarterback. And I mean, what it's nice about this running game is you can rely so much on the ability of your quarterback. They threw 4 passes, 2 of them for touchdowns. That's what the run actually can do. You don't have to throw up all those passes. If you're throwing up 50% of your passes are touchdowns,
that's pretty good.
That's almost as good as Ohio State.
What else? Yeah. Anything else that? How about Wisconsin, Penn State? Was that anybody?
It was a bit of a surprise to me.
Okay.
And and you take a look and you think, Wisconsin. I mean, you take the top 2 or 3 guys, teams in every division there. They want to go for the top, and Michigan somewhere along the line still has to beat Ohio State, and I'm not sure that the coach can maintain his job this year. How long has it been? 5 years? 6 years since they've beaten Ohio State?
I think it's longer than
that.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's kept his job so far. He has no something on somebody. That's
I don't either. That being said, this weekend we've got on Friday night North Dakota is playing Utah State, and on Saturday Army, Western Kentucky, Minnesota, Miami of Ohio, OS and Oregon. Ohio State and Oregon, and that's what's on at 11 o'clock in the morning. I am going to be a mess. And then Iowa and Iowa State and Washington and Michigan, it's like 4 o'clock, and I have already these jumbo football eyes.
George, get the toothpicks out for the night games.
Yeah, it gets to be bad, and they play that late.
Georgia and Alabama do not play.
Oh, okay.
Do not play. So that is possible.
That's interesting then.
That's thinking out there long range. How about the kid from Presbyterian throwing 10
touchdowns?
10 touchdown passes.
Didn't hear about that one.
Oh, yeah. 84-43.
That hasn't happened before either.
Look it up online, Presbyterian. I won't even try. He was a walk-on at Michigan and left and went to Presbyterian, which I think is an NAIA school, or their opponent was an NAIA school. Anyway, 84-43 was the final score. So if you're an offensive guy or gal,
84-43.
Wow.
That's right up your alley. Did you guys watch Notre Dame and Florida State last night?
I did, and it was a great game. I mean, not for Notre Dame, but it was a great football game, and Notre Dame wound up pulling it out in overtime. And it's just and so you just take a look, and again, Notre Dame wants to be in that top 5 too, very badly. And so for them to, Florida State, they've been hurting. And so I think they give them a pretty good shot.
It's going to be. I didn't know what to expect from Florida State. I was expecting it to be a blowout, and the fact that Florida State was down 18, came back and tied it.
Yes.
Showed me something. So the ACC's been put on alert. If they stuck in there with Notre Dame, they probably can stick in there with just about anybody.
Well, they talked about one guy who transferred from Notre Dame to Florida State, but while he was at Notre Dame, he developed a relationship with a severely disabled young man, and they got up a great big fund of $55,000, flew this kid down to Tallahassee to watch this football game, and it was just like, and here's this Notre Dame, incredible Notre Dame family, all with Florida State jerseys on. It was pretty good.
Wow, that's great.
I saw I picked it up late in the game. I didn't know what was going on. Yeah. There's your explanation.
Yeah.
What else football you want to talk about, George?
Well, we saw a couple of football games this weekend, Tim, that we have to make a little bit of comment. Talk about comebacks. Both teams we saw two great comebacks. One of them was International Falls, but they just ran a little bit shy. And the other one was this Cromwell team that scored a whole length of the field in what, a minute?
Minute and 5 seconds.
Minute and 5.
They went down. North Central, we'll talk about that game first. That's Little Fork Big Falls and North Home Kellier combined together to be the North Central Stars. And it was 12-6. Cromwell on their own 2-yard line with 2:06 left in the game. And I think in 5 plays, it may have been 6, they went 98 yards. And then they had a foreign exchange student from Spain who comes through and kicks the extra point. And North Central loses 13-12. And Cromwell really had not done anything major in the second half. I mean, they really had not put any pressure on. They had put a touchdown up in the first quarter, and then after that, it was a first down here and there. But all of a sudden, things got a little tight, and they're kids, right?
No, Valero, the kid from Spain, he wasn't just a kicker. He carried the ball and carried the ball well. Played defense. He was an all-around. He was there to play ball, not just kick it.
Yeah, usually you get a foreign exchange student that they can come over and play hockey or basketball or soccer because they've got those sports over in Europe a lot of times. They don't play a lot of American football over there, so he stepped right in and did a good job for him. That's a good find for a 9-man school. Yeah,
but you interviewed that coach, and he, a lot of coaches, especially first game of the year, they can cry the blues pretty good. And when I first saw the front three on the defensive line, I thought, well, he's not crying the blues about those guys.
No.
And then there was a linebacker behind him that also ran the ball all over the place. Zevis. He was a pretty good guy too. So you could pick 4 or 5, and it's the same way with the Little Fork team. There were 3 or 4 of those kids that could play on any team in northern Minnesota. They were big, strong, and fast, and so it was all right to watch. It was fun to watch.
Let's talk about the Falls.
Down
27-8 at half. Come back, make it 27-26 with 9.5 minutes to go, but just couldn't complete the comeback. Couldn't get her all the way done.
Well, no, but they had that comeback. Randy, you were down there. You saw some things going on the offense and defensive line that I think kind of changed the course of the game. How about you?
I thought both lines just played excellent the second half.
Yeah.
The offensive line, they were blowing guys way out of there, 10, 15 yards off the line, and helped Christensen and Smith get through there.
Sure.
And, I was really impressed with them. I think the one that really hurt them, I think, was that interception, and they had a score on it, and kids get excited and they're told to hit people till the whistle blows. Well, somebody hit somebody about 20 yards behind the play, and that hurt.
Yeah, there were a few first game penalties that just reared their ugly heads.
Right.
Just some things. Controlling the ball. Obviously, 5 turnovers for the Broncos didn't help, but it's one of those things that happen, and you try to learn, you try to get better, and I liked what I saw out of a young offensive and defensive lines. A couple of the kids, those veterans, had to step up. But we'll see what happens. They get Moose Lake Willow River this week. They've got their hands full.
I watched the Moose Lake Willow River Hermantown game.
Yeah, you watched that, huh?
I did watch that.
Time?
I caught it. I caught it this morning. And you were at. The question is Moose Lake that good, or is Hermantown down? No, they're not.
Wait a minute. He asked 2 questions there and answered no. Now, which one is he talking about?
Willow or Moose Lake is that good? Hermantown's not that bad, and it's just
that's what I figured. But I have not watched it.
I left it up but they run out of that double wing formation, and then they
spread it out.
And then they spread it out, or they come back to a kind of a stacked I formation, and so they run out of all kinds of things. But the key to this bunch, again, is the offense and defensive lines.
If you people have been watching this show for 2 years now, and I'm telling you, this is our 2-year complete anniversary. Next week will be the start of year 3. If you ain't figured out that we're a pro offensive line here, man, I'm telling you, you ain't been paying attention.
Well, number one, they didn't pass if they have to. In fact, I'm trying to think if the first half, if Moose Lake threw a pass at all. I don't think they did.
Well, you might recall when last year's game, they threw it around on us pretty well. They wanted to almost pass first, run second, like throw to set up the run. So you're telling me they just lined up and said, we're going to smack you in the mouth. That's
actually what they did. But they're also, that's pretty smart coaching staff. They're going to take what the defense gives them. And I'm sure they're perfectly capable of throwing the ball. But, their offensive line, what are they? They're big and they're quick. Well, and they don't have to pass if they don't have to. So the only thing that they have to concentrate is on their drive block, and they drive block well. So that is our defensive line's going to have to really play a super duper pickup game. But we still have some kids, the Cruncher Loveless. That's not his first name, is it? No, but it should be. And Braden Skifstead and some of those other guys, they are very capable of playing heads up with these guys.
So let me throw a name out there, because I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. Alex Larson, who didn't play last year, or didn't get to play last year. He catches 9 balls for 154 yards, plus he intercepted 2 passes.
Yes.
So that's a pretty good game.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that you brought him up, because for a rookie, but he's a fine athlete.
Yeah.
Don't get he's, and so some of the things, he's got good hands, but the defensive effort was exemplary. And the other one is Diego Christensen, both defensive and offensively. And by the fourth quarter, we like to think that these kids are in really good shape, and they probably are by the fourth quarter. It's a different deal.
Yeah, it is, no doubt about that.
Well, that shift they made moving Alex to free safety in the second half, I think that was big. He's a little taller, and he helped over the middle, knocked down some passes and covered some receivers.
They didn't score.
They didn't score.
So that was a good adjustment.
Alex had a dandy game both ways.
When you interviewed Seth, the coach, he seemed to be fairly optimistic of the game and his team from this, and so
and no disrespect, but he's always positive about it. I think he's always positive about his team. But yeah, I think he saw some good things. He knows he saw some bad things. Obviously, when you lose, there's things to be worked on. So I think they're realistic. I think they know that they've got some things that they've got to work on. But it wasn't all bad. There was stuff out there to be pleased with. So
I talked to a source from Onamia, and Onamia went to play Hinckley. And
who are they combined with to be Mille Lacs again? Do you know?
Onamia combined with Isle.
Isle, okay. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to be
Onamia and Isle are now one team. Isle, that's Vern Emerson's school, the All-American from UMD back in the 60s. Anyway.
I was going to say, who the heck's Vern Emerson?
Played 6 years with the Cardinals. He's a great football player.
Well, there you go.
I remember him.
Yeah. So he's from Isle. But they went down to Hinckley, and they were thinking, oh my, this is going to be bad. And Hinckley beat them, but 20-6.
Yep.
And in fact, I think they had them 6-0 and held them for quite a while. And when you got a good team that's sputtering a little bit, you kind of got to watch out in case they just go. And maybe that's what happened to Hinckley. But if we can do an effort like that against Moose Lake, I don't like to have, moral victories. I don't like that term, but it might be.
I want to talk about streaking for a second.
Streaking.
See, I had to get your attention. I had to pull you in. Yeah. See, because you were yeah. 2 streaks over the weekend that were broken in high school football. One of them being the Chisholm Blue Streaks. They ended their 30-game losing streak, unfortunately, against the Falls. But Caledonia lost for the first time in like forever. 71 games in a row they had won.
Oh.
And Caledonia's streak comes to an end. And they lose 30-13 to Lake City. So I just, when you get streaks,
70 games, that's 6-7 years.
When you
5 state titles in a row.
5 state titles in a row for Caledonia. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the numerical thing that we're looking at. And
well, the youngest King boy took his senior year off to concentrate on basketball.
do you think a Division I athlete, a guy who's going to go play basketball at Iowa State, can make that big of a difference? Yeah, he could.
Yeah, he
made a
could.
difference.
Yeah, he can.
Big difference. That's your star quarterback. Run the ball, throw the ball. Defense plays. I know he played D-back a couple of years ago. I'm sure maybe with his side playing playing linebackers. So taking out one ginormous athlete. But I'll be interested. Obviously, everybody's going to be following along because Caledonia, as soon as you see that school name for football, well, for a lot of sports, you immediately have your attention is grabbed. So
yeah, they wrestle there too. I'll tell you.
Yes, they do.
There's your streaking news. Blue streaking. Anyway, I threw it out there. You want to talk about the NFL?
Let's talk about the NFL.
I even wrote down some predictions.
Here we go. Here we go.
You should have told me about that one.
I should have. I thought about texting you, and I thought, because the season starts on Thursday. We're only a couple days away, and so we probably should do that. But
Thursday, that's Dallas and
that's
Tampa
Dallas
Bay.
And that other team that
won.
I don't like to discuss.
Yeah, that'll be picking up from that end. With the Vikings, I think there's just a ton of questions from top to bottom. It's like one guy says, who's got the better offensive line, Minnesota Gophers or the Minnesota Vikings? And you would like to think the Minnesota Vikings have a lot better. They're not bigger.
No.
And I suspect they probably are, but I think that's the issue. How well can those guys perform? Also, when do we get our linebackers back? The way the linebackers were set up during the preseason, they're not going to win diddly, and they're going to get hammered back there. Also, I'm not sure what that secondary looks like. Did Harrison Smith get his shots? All the questions that should not even have to be asked are being asked. So I
think what I garnered out of that, Randy, is George is not very optimistic about the Minnesota Vikings.
No, he's not.
If I told him that Darisaw was going to practice on Wednesday, would that make him happier?
I think that would help.
That would help.
That would help.
Tackle, number 1 draft pick, had surgery on his groin here just a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds like he's going to practice. Whether that means he plays at Cincinnati on Sunday, who knows? But
well, the thing of it is, the good news is they're playing Cincinnati, so and Cincinnati still has something to prove, and and face it, if Mo Ibrahim changes the tune of the Minnesota Gophers, what does Delvin Cook do for the Vikings? He's as good as any of them.
Yes. But I think if they
I'm not sure we have a tight end, though.
So, do the Vikings be above or below 500? Because I guess they could be 500 if they got a tie. Are they above or below 500?
Oh, they're above 500.
They are?
They are. In fact, the division is so weak that there's no reason for them not to even win the division if they got it together. How they can bring that to another team, other divisions, I don't know.
Yeah, obviously they're playing a weaker schedule, if I can call it that, because when you're a number 3 team in the division versus being a number 1 team in the division, you play the other 3s in the other divisions, not the other 1s or whatever. So it's kind of how it works. So the NFL keeps you cycling you through, keep you interested a little bit. Yeah, I say 9-8. The Vikes end up 9-8. They obviously 17 instead of 16.
Well, if they're 9-8, I think they're division champs.
Ooh, Okay.
You know.
You don't think Green Bay?
No.
You don't think Aaron Rodgers can just throw that team on his back again?
Well, you know, he does have some magic, but I'm not sure he has that much. That's a team that's going through a rebuild type situation, kind of. And the fact that Rodgers belly ached and whined and complained that whole season, I don't think did anything for that team. So.
Well, I hope the heck you're right, George, but I think you're wrong. Can I say it that way? How about you, Randy?
I think the Packers are going to win the division.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think they win 11 or 12 games.
Yeah, me too.
That's just the way I see it. And
even by saying that, you're starting to break out in hives.
Yeah,
You guys
I'm starting to get a little itchy over here.
This is it.
Anyway, so let's talk NFC. So
okay.
Let's talk about some teams in the NFC that you think are going to be good. I mean, I think we mentioned a couple of them already.
Well, we have.
So, where's Tampa Bay sit at? I'll pick. Where's Tampa Bay at?
They're going to be on the top maybe for another year. And
so you're trying to tell me Tom Brady still got it?
He apparently does, and I don't know why. You know, and Rodgers, what's he, 36, 37? He's got it as well.
Yeah, but Big Tom's like 44. I mean, pretty soon.
It's got to end.
It's got to end, right? Unless he sold his soul to the devil or something, maybe. Tom,
down at the crossroads. Yeah.
Well, you got to remember, George Blanda was 46.
He was, and he was kicking well until he was 50.
Yeah.
So,
how about the Dallas Cowboys?
You know, again, Dak, he's probably going to be a pretty good quarterback someday, but I'm not sure it's going to be with the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, and somewhere along the line, they're scrambling that team up and have for 2 or 3 years, and they're trying to find,
They've got wide receivers, though, George.
They do have wide receivers, but one of them's hurt.
If Dak can stay healthy, and they got that running back whose name I don't even like to say out loud.
No.
So if they put an offensive line in front of them, I'm saying Dallas wins the division.
What you're saying is that you're watching the game on Thursday.
No, because I'll be working on Thursday.
That's right. Well, I won't.
I'll catch the second half of it, but there's probably a college football game on Thursday night that would garner more of my interest.
There's one on tonight, Mississippi.
Well, there's one on tonight. During the first couple of weeks, there's one on every day. What do you feel about Dallas?
I think Washington's going to win the division.
They're
go with
right
Washington. There. They got just a tremendous defensive line to start with, and I think Rivera's got things going there.
Could be 1-2 right there.
Yeah.
Could be very close towards the end. I found it interesting. One of the sites I went on to today. Hear me out all the way on this now. The NFC West. You got Seattle. You got the Rams. You got the 49ers, and you got Arizona.
Tough.
The least number of wins out of those 4 teams that this site had was 10. 10. They said the Arizona Cardinals would be in 4th place and have 10 wins.
Yeah, see, that's a division that's tough.
Playoffs.
They'd miss it then.
I watched San Francisco play a couple of his
Why would you care about San Francisco, George? I can't figure it out.
Well, Trey Lance. And so I'm watching Trey Lance. I'm a fan. Anybody from Marshall, Minnesota, you have to pull for.
Oh, yeah.
And so I watch this, and I'm just thinking, they have a rhythm, and they do. And you can see a really good football team that just kind of clicks. This team clicks. So San Francisco is very good. Seattle has some exceptional talent. I mean, they got speed. They've got Wilson to throw. They've got some good football players in that team.
What about the Rams quarterback? Can he win, or has he learned how to lose too much when he was in with the Motor City Kitties?
You know, he's a very good quarterback.
He's a very good quarterback.
Yeah. So let's see what he can pick up. You know, the thing is about being at Detroit, he never had the protection that he needed, and he would go and he'd throw a couple of really nice passes. And you say, "Gee, this guy is good," and the next 3 passes get knocked down. He gets crumpled, and there's loss and a fumble. It all falls apart immediately. But no, he's a good quarterback. Can't deny that.
So you want to pick a team out of the NFC that's going to go to the Super Bowl?
No, because you'll laugh at me.
No, I won't laugh at you. You go right ahead.
Oh, I think it's probably going to be San Francisco.
Okay. How about you, Randy? What do you think?
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Wow.
Oh.
I'm going out on. I'm going with Seattle. That's what I got written down right here.
Yeah.
I'm going with Seattle. Don't know why. Just don't know why. They're there. Let's talk about the AFC. Who's what?
Well, you know, it's like Kansas City shuffled their crew, got rid of this and bought a little of that, and they look better than they did last year. I'm not quite sure. And you know, and Sir Patrick, nobody taught him how to throw passes like that at a clinic, I'll tell you. They have, you know, move the feet. He goes, flips it over his back and completes it. I really, every time I watch him play, I think, oh my Lord. But you know, there's a whole bunch of very talented quarterbacks these days. They can run the ball. They're big. I mean, 6'3", 240. If you were 6'3" and 240 in the 60s, you played linebacker or maybe offensive center. You never had a quarterback, you know, that was that big. Even Roman Gabriel was 6'6", was kind of skinny. You know?
Yeah, he was only 220.
Yeah, he was only 220. Yeah.
How about the Buffalo Bills? Well, wait, I should let you mention. What do you think about KC?
I think KC's going to be right there again. Can't see him going anywhere.
How about Buffalo? What do you see with Buffalo?
Again, a very talented bunch of kids, and they're going to cause some grief on a lot of teams on Sundays. And so I'm not sure they can make it all the way to the top, but they're going to make it to the playoffs, and they're going to do some grinding.
I'll stay in the AFC East because I want to pick. What's going to happen with the Patriots this year? They get rid of Cam Newton. They say Mac Jones out of Alabama's their quarterback. Where does New England end up this year? Can Bill pull them out? Get them out
Well, we're going to see just how good of a coach Sir Bill is. You know, right now, he's adjusting pretty good. Were you surprised that they got dumped Cam Newton?
No. I don't think Bill was ever a fan of Cam Newton.
No, probably not.
Jones was good enough.
Is anybody else going to be a fan of Cam Newton?
I haven't heard of anybody who's been a fan yet, but somebody's going to get hurt this weekend, and they're going to have to pick him up.
Not any coach that's over 60. They don't want to put up with his nonsense.
No, you're right about that.
And Adrian Peterson kind of lost his job as well.
I had not heard that.
Yeah, so he got cut, and so he was kind of waiting until, again, just hanging out for a week or 10 days to see who might. He's 36, 37, which is way over the hill for a running back, and yet he is so incredibly strong and such good physical condition.
He keeps in shape.
He keeps in shape that I think that he's got some running left in him. He had 2 good years with Washington.
How about
yes, he did.
How about Cleveland? What's your feelings on Cleveland?
Well, I know Baker's he's one of your favorite quarterbacks. So Cleveland has an exceptional defense, and they're going to keep them into an awful lot of games. And Baker, I hate to see this, Tim, but I watched him play a game, and boy, he was working pretty good. He was clicky, and throwing nice short passes and a long one once in a while.
Randy, help me out.
Look at he's biting his tongue.
Help me out.
I think Kansas City and Buffalo are just that much better than everybody else. I can see Cleveland being in the top 5 or 6, but I can't see anybody dumping the Bills or the Chiefs.
Okay, how about Baltimore? Can Cleveland beat out Baltimore and Pittsburgh to win a division?
I think that's possible.
That is possible.
It is. I'm not sure the Ravens are as good as they were a couple of years ago.
What about your man?
Oh, I know, but you know.
What about your boy? Come on, your man.
It takes 11. It's not just one. But, you know, face it, he's pretty good. And I'm glad, he has damaged more cornerbacks than anybody in the league. And, and it's when you see this guy, what's his name? Losing his name.
The quarterback?
No. The fullback.
From Baltimore?
Yeah, from the Ravens.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. But they've got good running. It's a good football team. How about the Titans?
Your man Derrick Henry?
Henry.
I can't call him a boy because he's your boy.
No.
Because Derrick Henry's
6'4" and 245 pounds.
That's a man there.
Yeah.
And not that any of them are, just because that's how you say things. But it's. So who wins the AFC? Who's going to the Super Bowl?
Well, I think.
Go ahead. You can say it's easy enough. Maybe.
I'll go Kansas City.
I'll go Kansas City too.
I go Kansas City. It's a whatever. Okay, so
they're at the top of the heap. They got to be knocked off.
So we got Kansas City, and we've got whoever you picked out of the NFC.
I got San Francisco. Yeah.
You taking San Francisco?
I'll take San Francisco.
Green Bay.
Really? They talk so convincingly about Kansas City, and then they say Kansas City gets to the big game, and they choke. No, they win it.
Do you have a Green Bay jersey at home in your?
Yes, I do.
That explains it all right
I
there.
asked the key question.
Well, I don't know if he's going to get invited back, folks. Wow.
That green gives me a rash.
It
Other than
does.
that, I like the gold stuff.
Goodness.
Well, you got to remember when we grew up here, Green Bay was the team. That was
Yes,
the closest
they were.
team around.
There was no
And
Vikings.
I knew the starting lineup, backwards, forwards, and inside out. And then down in Minneapolis, they hired Frank Huso to come and play in their football team. That took care of that.
I can see why it did.
Yeah, we were instant
Yeah.
Vikings fans.
Let's talk a little baseball.
Let's do that.
If we're done with football, by
Yeah,
the way.
we've been chopping up football for quite a while.
Okay. Twins? Anything good out of the Twins this week?
Well, yeah, they're not playing bad baseball. Who they knock off the other night?
They beat Tampa yesterday.
Tampa
Yeah,
yesterday.
in the third game they
That
beat
was
them.
after losing 4 straight.
Yeah.
So,
If you take a look at the predictions that we would have made, and I know I'm totally optimistic, the predictions I would have made at the spring would have been a little bit higher than where they are now. But as soon as they got rid of Big Nelson and they started, getting rid of their high salary players, I just knew that this year was not going to be something that we would remember.
When they got rid of Barrios, that kind of took the last little bit of interest I had with following them.
Yeah.
They did it to Viola, they did it to Santana, and now Barrios.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
did you watch Joe Ryan pitch the other night? Did he garner a little bit of your attention?
He did, and he was having a pretty good time, and there was all kinds of people over there, and he, took the bus over from St. Paul, and there he was.
I was very pleased with
Yes.
the performance. I know a lot of people still upset with Nelson Cruz being gone.
no.
but
The good part.
We got 2 pitchers, and
The good
I
part
could live
is
with
is that we get some young people coming in, and I like watching Nelson Cruz, but he isn't going to swat him forever, and so you got to they have to rebuild, and they have to develop some pitching. Right now, the pitching staff is, well, kind of non-existent.
How many pitchers have they gone through this year? Do you know?
Boy.
Ooh.
25, 30?
It's at least 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, what about our boy Wyatt?
If we took a look at who's the greatest baseball player to come out of International Falls right now, he'd have to be on the list. He's an amazing young man. Statistically, watching the game, and he has to have a certain amount of charm because the media down there loves him, and it's
That's
He's
good.
been loved everywhere he goes.
Everywhere he
That's why
goes.
he's Mr. Lark.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
yeah.
So, I'm on my phone, not paying attention. I'm just trying, because they're in the top of the 9th, and I'm trying to get up the stats so that we can say this last on the air. But we got a very nice message from his father the other day. Daryl, thanks for the message. I want to make sure I say it on the show, and mentioning that the pitchers in the league have changed how they pitch to Wyatt Ulrich, and his average has slumped over the last few weeks. Depending upon how he did today, probably going to end up right around 330 for the season. He was up in the 350s, 370s a lot of the year, and they made adjustments, so now he's got to learn to make adjustments, and I'm sure by next spring, I'll bet he's going to be working on it. But
Well, he's got some 80 hits at 300 times at bat, or over 300 times at bat. And they have next to his name Rookie. Well, it's not going to be Rookie next year. They're going to all know about him when he comes back, and a lot of people are going to pay notice. That's double A,
equivalent of double A baseball. Yep.
And so who's to say they can only add one more A before you get to the bigs?
You're getting close.
So.
How about the Minnesota Lynx?
Here they are. They've already made the playoffs. They have how many games left to go? They buttoned it up here a week or so, a few days ago.
Coach isn't letting them sit on their laurels, though.
No.
It's fine, and we made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we made it 11 years in a row, but that wasn't the goal. That isn't the goal.
That isn't the goal.
I'm not letting these women sit back and whatever.
Well, no, and I think that's why she was able to get rid of a couple of them for the Olympics. They wanted that energy to come back for this thing, and I think she utilizes it. In fact, I heard Lindsay Whalen on a podcast the other day. She was using it. I mean, they like to see, the Lynx do well and other women basketball do well, and they asked Lindsay, would you like to coach international basketball? She says, yes, I would. Yeah. So the basketball energy for women right now is super high, and I'm, being the father of a daughter that played basketball, it's fun to watch.
Just going to go back to Wyatt for a second. He went 2 for 4 today. They're up 3-2 in the top of the 9th inning. Just going to see if there's anybody on. Anyway, his batting average right now, 327. So, anyway. That's where we're at.
Well, that'll win a lot of batting titles in a lot of places.
Not too shabby,
So,
we're going to find out. The Lynx got to go to Vegas on Wednesday night. Vegas is the number 1 team in the Western Conference, so the Lynx are a game and a half out, and I don't think anybody wants to play the Lynx right now. That's the way I look at it. So Cheryl Reeve continues to make things happen. They brought in new people, and she mixes them in. She makes them play defense. They held Los Angeles to 57 points. The scary part about that was Los Angeles had 41 at half.
Wow.
They got 16 points in the second half. 16 points in 20 minutes.
That's shutdown.
That's shutdown defense.
Yeah.
LA shot 1 for 13 in the fourth quarter alone. They scored 4 points in the fourth quarter. That's defense, folks.
Defense.
Oh, boy.
So if the Lynx can play like that, maybe we'll be making a run.
If you would have asked me 10 years ago that they would be playing this caliber of basketball, women's basketball in Minnesota, you would have kind of like, huh? They are playing that caliber of basketball in Minnesota, and they're playing it all over the place. Women athletes right now have improved over the course of the last 10, 15 years immensely.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, and you coached young women, as did I, and we've seen it happen.
It just keeps growing.
It just keeps growing.
Well, you wonder, I guess I always think about, even with men's athletes, we think about there's got to be a ceiling to what they can do. I'm thinking more about maybe track and field with the Olympics. Well, you just cannot keep running faster. You can't keep shaving tenths of a second off the 100-meter dash. There's just a limitation to what a human being can do. But they keep doing it, men and women, and especially the women, especially in the Olympics. I still go back and look at the things they did. It's pretty scary.
Oh, they can really run fast.
You guys watching any tennis?
Well, what's going on there? I see that your pal, Mr. Djokovic, he's still alive.
Still alive and
well.
Got the slam possibility.
Some young kid from over in Canada, 18-year-old girl, is causing.
Leila Fernandez keeping the world thinking about these youth.
Unseeded.
They had another unseeded player took on Shelby Rogers today, who beat Ash Barty the other day, the number 1 player in the world. Her name is Emma, and I'm going to get it wrong, but Radakunu, something like that.
Pretty good.
She's from Great Britain. She's now like in the 2 Grand Slams. She's like 7-1 or whatever she is. She's into the quarterfinals. She's 18. These young kids, these young girls, and then this Carlos, getting it right, Alcaraz from Spain. He's 18 years old. He's into the quarterfinals, the youngest ever to make it to a men's quarterfinal at the U.S. Open in the Open era. So these young punks are coming out, and we've been waiting to see Djokovic and Federer and Nadal get replaced. I think they've reached
well, you can
their
see
age.
it. You can see it.
It's coming.
It's
Djokovic
coming.
is hanging in there, but yeah.
And Naomi Osaka, though, she was eliminated, but she, again, she's just tremendously talented woman, and it's.
You wonder if she's going when the next time she's going to play tennis.
Yeah, I hope.
After the press conference she held the other day about the pressures, and then Sloane Stephens comes out and echoes what she said about Sloane lost the other day, and how the derogatory and comments on social media and how much pressure there is. It's taking the fun out of the game, and I know it's easy for us to probably say, well, then just don't look at it. But how do you? I mean, that's how those people, and I say those people because I'm talking about the youth, that's how they communicate. They do it on Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and probably not Facebook as much, but anyway, where I'm going with that stuff is out there, and if you're a Sloane Stephens or a Naomi Osaka, you can't miss those. Your name's going to pop up, and the things that are being said out there are pretty tough. And I don't know if in the old days, because there wasn't all the social media, if you didn't see that, or if it's changed that much. But it just seems that even Rory McIlroy came out and talked about it the other day, that even he went through, when he was the top player in the world, and everything was overanalyzed, superanalyzed, and it took him from the top of his game and took him down. And so it's kind of amazing, because we think about, if you're that good athletically, then you must be that good to have that mental strength to put up with that negativity. But
all these people strive for perfection.
Yeah.
Nobody ever makes it, and nobody is perfect all the time. They just can't be. You can be very, very good. Joe DiMaggio hit for 56 games, but he didn't hit for 57. So he was 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 that game, and the great DiMaggio went down. This just happens. Rod Carew, he went through like 26 games in a row where he didn't get a hit. He was seeing a psychologist and getting hypnotized. They were freaking out so much. But to sit down and call Rod Carew like a bum or something, you can't do that, because he's just an incredible athlete, an incredible gentleman, and it's just, these people don't deserve anything but praise for the efforts that they've made to do what they do. It's just about as simple as that.
I think all the Americans were eliminated this afternoon. Shelby Rogers, who had beat Ash Barty, was eliminated today, and then Riley Opelka. I'm going to say that right, Opelka. He was getting beat pretty handily when I left, so I think all the Americans are out, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure the New York fans will find somebody to cheer for.
Yeah, they will. They will indeed.
Before we go to the high school, which we usually end on, or whatever else, of course, you may have been noticing me flexing my brand new lid, thanks to Randy.
I got a shirt.
The Seattle Kraken hat. The Seattle Kraken shirt. You did good.
You did.
Thank
very
you.
good.
You as
You
my
must have
employer
fun
likes
shopping
to say,
for this.
You're the employee of the day. Well, you're the man of the day.
Yeah,
For a Kraken hat.
I scoured the streets of Seattle down by the waterfront.
Yeah.
You did awesome. I appreciate the heck out of it. And so, sticking with hockey, because I've got it written down here.
Yeah.
Did you see the Wild jerseys that they're going to wear at Target Field on New Year's Day for the outdoor game?
No, where they
put them out.
Yeah.
I think it was on Friday or Saturday, and they say Minneapolis and St. Paul on them. They kind of got a baseball motif to them, if I can use that word, for them. I thought they were a little too busy for me. I mean, when you're watching it on TV, you're not going to see all the detail that they've got on there. But I suppose for one game, and after they get done wearing them, I'm sure they're going to auction them off somewhere.
Lots of money.
Sure.
So you're not going to have to worry about that. That's what it's all about. But if you got time, take a look at the Wild jersey. They're only going to wear them from that, obviously, for that outdoor game. That's the only one. But I found it interesting. So.
How's the Wild doing signing all their players?
Well, there's still one guy still not signed.
Anybody important?
Yeah, Mr. Kaprizov. Is he important?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, very much.
Training camp starts here. Just their first preseason game is on the 25th, so that's 19 days away till the NHL preseason gets started.
Well, he's taken Kaprizov has taken well to this capitalistic negotiations. Good for him. I tell you, whatever he can work out, he's definitely has it coming, because he brought an awful lot of energy and an awful lot of hockey ability for the first time to that arena, and hey, I'm pulling for him.
Bronco volleyball team is 3-0. Shout out to those ladies. They get Mesabi East on Tuesday night. We'll see if they can make it 4-0. A good start for Sarah Peterson and the crew.
I talked to the assistant coach, Andrea, the other day, and they were very pleased. I says, "Are you a bit surprised?" Not a bit, she said.
Well, There you go.
And so, you know, they're pretty pleased with the whole operation. Sarah's happy? Oh, yeah. So, you know, anytime you're 3-0, I mean, I've been 0-3, and it's not near as much fun.
That's a good start to their season.
Yeah.
Swimming team went to Northeast Range and got a win 59-31 last week, so kudos to them. They're undefeated as well. And the cross-country team gets started with a meet on Thursday over at Roseau, 4 o'clock, so we'll see what comes to the forefront there. I think a couple of the girls will have a pretty nice season. I think a couple of the guys will have some pretty nice seasons. So hopefully come the end of October, we're talking about them maybe making a chance to get to the state meet. That would be a lot of fun. And yeah, what's left? What did we forget? Because that's everything that's on my piece of paper. And you'll notice I brought notes this week.
Yes, he did.
There was too many things that were too busy.
Well, you know, last week was just incredibly busy. I was wore plumb out on Sunday morning, but
you can't handle a football game and a Blues Hour show 3 nights in a row. It's too much.
No, I take a look at it. Out of 6 nights, we were on the air 4 times, and it's. Who would have ever thought we'd have done that? Anyway, no, it was a great start for the football season. I enjoyed both the games. I wish that Bronco one could have come across a little bit different. And for the Little Fork fans, I wish that would too. We knew some of the kids on that team and some of their parents, and we saw some people we knew, which was really nice in Kelliher. And we went to the Roadrunner restaurant, and he had the blue plate special.
Ooh, hot turkey sandwich, mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
So it was even better than that. He bought. So
wow. No, Jim bought.
Thanks, Jim.
Jim bought. That's even better when you get somebody paying for your meals.
Oh, we got so much football coming this week, and Saturday I am going to be. I hope to have my blue show done so I can just be totally incommunicado for the better part of the day.
Well, happy birthday to Vinny, my 3-year-old grandson coming up this Saturday. Happy birthday to Vincent. That's where I'll be doing on Saturday afternoon, is I'll be birthday partying, not watching football. I'll be doing that birthday party thing, but that's a good thing.
Gotta do that.
Gotta go do that.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
I'm done.
Andy, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Yes, and you were really great on the radio show too.
And he bought presents.
Yes.
He's the #1 employee.
We're going to invite him next week. What you bringing?
Thanks everybody for watching.
Bye.